Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. On today's tutorial I'm sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful kaftan shift dress that I'm wearing, and it's very simple, beginner friendly, easy to make. It has an elastic waist at the back, as you can see. And if today's your first time seeing this channel, make sure you subscribe, like, and drop a comment in the comment section. Let's get started with the video. So this is the fabric I'll be working with. This is 2 yards of Jonkoso fabric, and this is my elastic band. We'll be needing 1 to 1.5 inches elastic band, but what I have is about 2.5. So I'll fold mine when we get to that stage. So I'm gonna have to fold my 2 yards of fabric into 4. Okay, so what we have is about half yard. That if it's folded on 4, right? So I'm gonna head to sew his pin to secure everything so it doesn't fit, because you know how soft and stressful this fabric can be. So you want to go ahead and pin it all down. I'll go ahead to mark my 3 inches neck width, and for the neck depth for the front I came down by 3.5, and then for the back I came down by 1.5, and the total neck width or neck depth I'll be using for the front is about 8 inches. So the 3.5 is the neck depth, then the remaining 4.5 is what I'll be using to slit to get the keyhole, okay, for the front. Does it make sense? I hope so. So I'll go ahead and connect my back neckline as well as the front neckline, as you can see. And after that, so for the keyhole side we are going to leave it untouched for now. So I'm just measuring what I have in total. Remember, it's 18 inches, right? So for you to know how much you have for your sleeve, you just go ahead and measure your shoulder measurement, then from there check what you have remaining for your sleeve. So I have about 10 inches or so. So but I'll be working with 9.5. So that's going to be where my sleeve is starting from. Okay, so I'm just going to extend that line downwards, and I'll come down at that end of the sleeve by 1 inch to mark my shoulder slope. We can come down up to 1.5, but I just use 1 inch because that's also perfect. So I'll go ahead and connect it to the tip of the neck, okay, as you'll see me do, and I'll just go ahead and connect those lines together. And then from that new shoulder slope rather, I'll come down by 10 inches, which is going to be my sleeve width. That's how big I want my sleeve to be. Then on that, around that sleeve area, I'm going to measure my hip divided by 4. So you're using the biggest part of your body, so which is my hip. My hip divided by 4 is 10 inches, and I added extra 2.5 inches. Okay, so that includes our sewing allowance, right? So I'm going to connect that to that sleeve side, and that's what I have there. And I'm just going to go ahead and mark all this my measurement, which is 12.5, to the end of the fabric. Remember, this fabric, if you're buying jokoso, is always by 60, so I'm using the whole of the 60, right? So if you're shorter, you can go ahead and mark your gown length, but for me I'm using the whole of the 60. And after that, I'll just go ahead and create a curve around that arm side so it can sit perfectly well when we wear it. Then from the shoulder, I will come down by the waistline for your back. Remember, your front and the back waist is not the same, so for my back waist I'll be working with 15 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark that this elastic is going to be at the back, so you don't want to make use of your front waist so it doesn't come out too low, right? So that's why I used my back waist point. So that's what I have there, 15. So for my elastic band, I have to just measure what I have there to be sure, because mine is not the 1 yard, sorry, the 1 inch also. I have about 1.25 there. So I just want my hole there, or the casing, to be about 1.5, so that we can have a little ease. And after marking that 1.5, like what I did was, from the 15 inches I marked 0.75 on both sides to make my 1.5. Then I added half inch on each side. It is important you add that half inch, if not it's going to be very hard for you to sew when we are doing the other part. And after that, I went out by 1 inch. You can go out by 1 inch or 1.5 inch. It is very okay. Okay, so after doing that, this is what I have now, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my pattern or my fabric. Okay, so just watch closely how I'm going to be cutting that part so you don't make mistakes. Now for the shoulder side, I'm going to just add half an inch that I'll be using to join my shoulder. Okay, so just go ahead and add that half an inch, and then just go ahead and cut your pattern or your fabric. I don't know why I keep saying pattern, but I'm used to that because I'm always doing pattern drafting. So watch closely how I'm cutting that part. You're seeing what I'm doing there. So that's just it. It's very simple, and I'll just go ahead and cut the remaining part, and I make sure that you're still using your pin to secure the fabrics so it doesn't, go out of place. And after doing that, this is what we have. And now I'm just going to remove the pin that was towards the neckline, and remove the back side as well, so we can cut out the front neck. So I'll just go ahead and cut it out. And after doing that, so we'll go ahead and cut the facing for the front and the back. So when you're working with this fabric, you need to be as careful as possible, because I can't even talk, but just try and be careful. Okay, so we are still leaving that keyhole part like that. So I'm just going to take note of what I have. Then I have about 4.5 for that section. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to cut my facing for the front, as you see me do. And yeah, just retrace the neck, sorry, the neck and the shoulder, and I'll just mark where that keyhole stops. Okay, so that's like where that keyhole is supposed to stop. Now from that point on the facing, I'll just come down by about 3 inches. Sorry guys for the noises. I'll just come down by like 3 inches, and towards the shoulder area from the neck point, I'll also go out by like 3 inches as well. And that will be like a guide for you to know how to shape in your facing. So it is optional, however you want to shaping it, how whichever shape or style you want it to be in, go ahead and do so. As you see me do, this is what I want, and I'll just go ahead and cut. And after cutting this, we'll cut the back as well, and then I'll use my facing or my interface to interface all the front and the back piece. Okay, so it's more stable, because this fabric is not stable at all, so you want to stabilize it a little. So I've gone ahead to cut the facing for the front and the back, and I'll just bring this pattern or this fabric for us to do some things. Okay, so now we need to cut the casing for the elastic band that will be at the back, right? So for us to get the amount of fabric we need, just going to fold this point that you're seeing me, just watch closely. You're going to fold that inward and measure from there to the end. For mine is 11 inches. Okay, so this is on fold, remember. So if you open it, it's going to be 22 inches, right? So I will go ahead and cut 22 inches of fabric. So this is my 22 inches. I added more, so just in case when I'm sewing and then it's not equal again. So I have about 22 inches. Then on fold is about 2 inches. So if you notice, you can see that it's smaller than the facing or the casing on the fabric, because it has to be smaller. Don't worry, when we get to that stage you will see that. So for my facing for the front, I'll just try and get a crease line for the middle, and then mark that. Why I'm doing this, I will know where the middle is. And for us to create our keyhole, I'll just go ahead and first of all mark the length, which is about 4.5 like I said earlier, and I'll go from the center half inch on both sides, so we have 1 inch, but we've shared it equally on each side. And I'll just create my keyhole, or just like a V shape line on each side. And after doing that, I will go ahead and match it up with my front piece, that's my front fabric, right side to right side. And we are going to use, please go ahead and use pin, use pin and hold everything together, and go ahead and sew the way I'm just illustrating. Also do the same thing for the back. And after doing this, I also notched all the edges, very important, same as the back. I also notched all the sides. Okay, and after doing that, so we're going to go ahead and iron it properly. Okay, so I will just turn for the front, and make sure you iron this thing properly. And you can as well use your hemming comb to hem it well. So I would advise you use cloth comb or SD when you're using your facing, instead of using this paper stay, so it doesn't disturb it later. So after ironing, this is what I have. You can see how beautiful and neat everything looks. It's not the stain or the water stain, is because I had to use water for it to relax very well. So now we are going to join our shoulder, right side of the front and right side of the back facing each other, as you're seeing. And I'm just going to try and pair up the shoulders like so, and so that our facing is going to cover, or I don't know if you understand, but just follow what I did or I'm doing, and you're going to have a very nice result. So I'm going to close from the beginning to the end of the sleeve, the same thing for the other side. And also I will go ahead and fold the hem of my sleeves as well. Now after doing that, this is what I have. I've also ironed them. You can see how neat it looks. So this is my sleeve. I folded the sleeves as well. As you can see, everything is coming together. So after that, remember that facing for the elastic band that we cut earlier, I also went ahead to sew it into two. That's why I have that is about 1.75. Okay, sorry, 1.5, sorry. And I'm going to just go ahead and trim. Remember I said I cut more than 22 inches, so I'll be trimming off the excess I have. So what I have at the end of the day will just be 22 inches. Go. So that's what I'm doing. So I'll just go ahead and cut my 22 inches, and then show you guys what I did for the elastic band. So for the elastic band, you're going to be dividing your waist measurement divided by 4. Then you can add up to 3 inches. Okay, remember that thing is not tight on the waist. If you want it tight, maybe you can just add 1 inch or 1.5 or 2, but the way it is not tight, it's not fitted, it just has a little bit of attach. So I'm just going to add like 3 inches. That's why I added for mine. So I'll use my safety pin and try to pass my elastic band through the casing. So you have to be patient when you're doing this. Now make sure that your elastic band is not twisting, it remains straight. Okay, that's why when your facing should be a little bit bigger than your elastic band. My elastic band is about 1.25 or 1.35, but my facing is about 1.5. Okay, so if it's too tight, it's going to probably shift or turn. So after that, I'll just go ahead and top stitch on both sides. So after stitching on both sides, this is what I have, and then I'll go ahead and start sewing or close it up to the back. So I've gone ahead to place my fabric on. You can see how it is now. This is the back, and that's like the right side facing up. So I'm going to be placing my band on it like this. The side facing the right side of that back is like the side that has the center. That's where the joining is now. So you want that to be facing downward, you don't want it to face up. So that if it's not so important, but it is important, because if it is facing up, you're likely going to not like it. So this is what I have now. I'm just going to use the front side to place over, so that elastic band is now in between the front and the back. Okay, so we're going to sew 1 inch. Okay, so from the sleeve side, we're sewing from 1 inch down. When it gets to that elastic point, you twist your hand and then follow the shape. Remember, you're seeing the allowance that we already gave on that facing or on that casing or that loop. You're going to be seeing the elastic, so we're going to be seeing the allowance. So sew according to the allowance, and then when you get to the other edge, you just take your hand straight again. All right, so I'll also drag my elastic waist or elastic band, sorry, to the other side, and also pin. Do the same thing we did on this side, and so please, I'm just trying to also show you that, see where that's the seam of that my band is facing down. I hope this English is not too much. So you're going to sew straight, but remember that the down is going to have a slit. So for me, I did 18 inches from the hem upward. I did 18 inches. You can do 15 if you want to even be more open. You can do up to 20 inches. But for me, I did 18 inches from the hem line. Okay, so make sure that as you're sewing, you're going to stop at that point. All right, so I went ahead to also mark it on the other side as well. So I'll go ahead and sew, and I'll show you guys. So I've gone ahead to also sew. I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is what I have. And after sewing, make sure you notch those edges around that elastic edge point. And I also notched this edge as well. That's the part where the slit stops, or where the slit is starting rather. This is what I have. Now you're going to go ahead and iron it. If you want to weave it first, you can go ahead and weave, then use your what's it called, use your hemming gum to hem it. You don't want to sew that part, so everything will look seamless. I've gone ahead to turn everything and iron it. You can see what the back is looking like. See how that elastic part is looking very beautiful and fine. One thing about this fabric is once you iron it, the beauty comes out so fine. And then you can see my slit, what I did there, because I did not weave it first. I just went ahead to fold it into two, and then I use my hemming gum to hem everything down. So you can go ahead and close up your hem, but I want mine to be like that. So this is what I have. And if you've watched this point, and you've not subscribed, please, what are you waiting for? Don't forget to like this video, drop your comment in the comment section, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you.